what I've noticed, Alex, is they seem to have an anchoring bias to 1929 and 1930, and they can't shake it. I had it in 2008. I thought there's going to be another leg lower. We're going to go down the kind of 80%. But most people anchor on that, which was a once in history event. And so every time it goes down, they still think it can halve again and halve again.
Yeah, I think like every time the stock market goes down, they create a narrative why things are going to be really bad for a long time.
Yes.
There is always a narrative explaining the current situation. And it is interesting. It's the same thing actually with bonds. There is a narrative right now, which I've been arguing with some people who actually respect a lot. There's a narrative that people will not be fooled again. They're never gonna buy U.S. bonds at the zero real yield. And I say, like, watch them, and I keep saying, watch them do that in a couple of years. Like, people will once again convince themselves that there is a reason why now rates will be zero forever.
That's I think narratives are one of the most misunderstood things in macro. Yeah. I didn't really realize how these narrative shifts are so powerful. I try and step back and look at when the narrative is overly intense versus the reality of what price is saying. And as you said, like 2020, the narrative gets really bad. I think the narrative is overdone here and now. We'll wait and see. It's like the narrative over tariffs. Pretty much everything that comes like this never really amounts to anything bad for long. But yet everybody extrapolates. The world's changed. It's all broken. Nothing's going to work anymore. And they're so quick to do that. And that narrative feeds on itself because fear is a powerful narrative and people share it. It's weird.
Yeah. And then what happens is the narrative creates negative market sentiment, and you get negative reports. They reinforce your narrative, and it just becomes all like this loop. And typically what gets out of this loop is liquidity.
That's right.
Every negative narrative ends up with, this is the byline I said in my book, The Trades of March. Every crisis starts with fear and ends with necessity.
Very true.
So eventually people give you money and they have to go somewhere. So I feel, and what the paradox is, the only thing liquidity cannot solve is inflation.
That's right.
So the piece of puzzle that we don't know is inflation solved. Are we having actually deflationary past right now? Or we're having, because stagflation, it's a very difficult puzzle to solve because you cannot solve inflationary problem with liquidity. In some sense, you can with supply side liquidity.
Well, we saw that in 2022, right? So the market's going down. Normally, you would replace, and the economy's slowing down. Normally, you'd replace it with liquidity, but you can't because of inflation is high. So that is that conundrum, and it passed pretty quick, and eventually liquidity did come back and the market recovered. But you could see that period is very difficult to deal with.
Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end. Look, if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button and check out the video here on the right-hand side. I'm sure you'll enjoy that one as well. And if you're ready for more, go to realvision.com/join. I'll see you there.